Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another episode of the most offensive podcast ever. I'm Slimmy V, and today I am going to be talking about the lab leak. Remember back in 2020 when the coronavirus or the pandemic really hit us hard and people were saying that it must have been leaked from a lab in China? And then the mainstream news media came out and said, no, these are conspiracy theories. This is disproven. This is misinformation. This is disinformation. This is not true. It's facts, false. They name it and they do it at you. And they demonize people who had that thought. Here we are today with a report from Saagar on the Horizon that, well, what we have been thinking and saying may not be a conspiracy theory after all. Before I get to this video, please consider hitting that like button, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. And those who are already subscribed to the channel, thank you very much. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Now, without further ado, let's roll this film.
A new entrant onto the scene of reporting out the lab leak hypothesis was introduced. Stunning new facts, and it puts the mainstream media to shame. It gives even more credence to the theory. Nicholas Wade, he's a former science correspondent for the New York Times, out with a bombshell new multi-thousand word study for the Bureau of Atomic Scientists, in which he does what I consider to be the best job so far of investigating the origins of the outbreak. If you don't know the broad contours of the lab leak theory, let me lay it out for you. We know coronavirus came from Wuhan, China, where there happens to be a lab called the Wuhan Institute of Virology. That lab was conducting a type of research known as gain-of-function research, where scientists attempt to create viruses which are more powerful than known in nature, the theory being that you can then create cures for potential diseases of the future. That type of research is incredibly risky, so much so it was banned for a time by the US government under the Obama administration. But what we now know is Dr. Anthony Fauci, the so-called hero of the pandemic himself, is the chief proponent of gain-of-function research within the US government. So much so, he worked within the Trump administration to overturn that ban while nobody was looking in 2017. We now also know with certainty the U.S. government, under Fauci, funded gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab into bat coronaviruses. We also know that the very people charged with investigating whether coronavirus leaked from the lab are those that facilitated funding of the type of research itself. In short, it's not about blaming China. If anything, if coronavirus did leak from a lab, it is the biggest indictment of the public health establishment in America, that we knowingly have been funding dangerous research in places with substandard safety protocols, which may have caused the worst pandemic in nearly a century.
Wow. Now that you've heard this, I'm telling you right now, this man and his program are putting mainstream news media to shame. He is reporting what they should be reporting because of the fan base that they have. The amount of people that's glued to CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, ABC News is tremendous. They should be reporting on something like this, but they are not. So credit to Saagar and his show Horizon, right? So now, let's get to the nitty-gritty as to what is really going on over here. So now, number one, we know it came from China. That doesn't make you a xenophobe. That just gives you a place of origin. We know that Dr. Fauci was behind this ban being lifted, as it was banned 4 times from the government under the Obama administration. And during the Trump administration, while no one was looking, Fauci lifted that ban and continued this research on creating the virus, right? And of course, the theory is to create the virus and to find a solution for it, just so that we are protected from future viruses should they arise. So my question is, and I love to ask questions, right? I mean, you can call me a conspiracy theorist if you want. How do we not know this thing was created purposely? Okay, and this is the type of question, and I like to just energize your brains just to have you thinking. How do we not know that this thing was created purposely? Okay, apparently it was leaked, right? So it got out, which means it leaked out. Now, was it leaked purposely? So that's two questions that we're asking. Was it created purposely? Right? And again, that's number one. Was it created on purpose? And number two, was it leaked on purpose? As you may very well, if you watch my show, I did one on Bill Gates, where he says we need to bring down the population, and there are several ways to do this. We could do this through vaccines, which was one of his ways. What did he mean by that? I don't know. But we are now finding out that, number one, this research was funded, something that was not supposed to happen. Why isn't Fauci held responsible? Why are we not questioning Fauci more? Why isn't this on front page newspaper? Why isn't this breaking news in the media on CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, ABC News? Why isn't this the talk of the town? Why are we allowing Dr. Fauci to remain at his position? Why are we calling Dr. Fauci a hero? Why do we have so much faith in this vaccine? Why are we just going out and just taking this vaccine? How do we know that these things really work? Remember, the FDA did not approve of these vaccines. This was an emergency use. These are the questions that I have. Here's what I want for mainstream media. I want mainstream media to be held accountable because they called us conspiracy theorists and demonized people like us for asking simple questions because we cared about humanity and ourselves. I want them to retract their statements. I want them to go back when they had fact check as to whether this came from a lab in China and they said this was disinformation. I want them to retract that. I want them to remove that. I want them to come out and blast this on a front page newspaper and say, we were wrong. The conspiracy theorist was right. This was something that came from a lab in China. Come out and just say it. I want real journalism. Not just one or two sources. I want several sources. I don't want propaganda. I don't want any of the mainstream media to be associated politically with a party. Remove yourself. I want mainstream media to be unbiased. I want them to not have an agenda. This is what I want. I want mainstream news media to be truthful, to be the watchdogs, to tell us what's going on out there. This is what the mainstream news media was meant to be. They have come out time and time again. They have lied. They have dished out misinformation and disinformation. Okay? They purposely lied. They definitely lied by omission. There's news that needs to be reported and they purposely do not report on those news because it does not fit their agenda or what they're trying to push. I want a mainstream news media that's not backed by corporations. This is what I want. I understand money has to come from somewhere so you could push out the program. I get that. But the money should not sway you as to what to report and what to not report. I just want real journalism. I want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Because you guys, mainstream news media, y'all losing credibility. Nobody's watching y'all. Nobody's believing you guys anymore. People are turning off the TV and they're tuning into people like such as myself, YouTubers, and underground news media outlets, such as this one that I'm just playing. Look at the ratings of CNN. Look at the ratings of MSNBC. It dropped. Why? Because people are not taking it anymore. The only reason why people are going out to take these vaccines that you guys are promoting, I don't know how much money you're getting, but that's the only reason that they're taking it is to like shut you guys up. It's to keep a job. I don't think they're even afraid of this thing anymore. Okay, yeah, there are majority that are so fearful of what's going on with this pandemic that they are going to go out and take it. You've done a great job, mainstream news media, by putting fear into people's head. Enough of my rant. I'm going to stop it right there. Okay? If you are not offended, you haven't been watching. I'm Slimmy V, and this is the most offensive podcast ever. God bless, stress less, and let Yahweh give you rest. I'm out. Peace.